So excited today to be joined with Congressman Eric Swalwell from California. Congressman, great to be here with you. I want to jump right in and talk
Thanks, man.
about probably one of the biggest pieces of news right now that's trending online, and that's the Epstein files. I thought that this was an issue that there was bipartisan support over, but we see now Republicans on Capitol Hill kind of backing away from that. Could you talk a little bit about Republican opposition to releasing the Epstein files as it currently stands?
Yeah, Democrats have been screaming pretty loudly since Donald Trump was elected about two things: inflation and having our rights taken away. And what I'm hearing from my constituents, primarily Republican constituents, is that they want these files. And something has changed in the last couple of days. I've never seen anything like it. It's like they've almost snapped in that they have supported and gone along with so much of Trump's bullshit, where they like look the other way on it. But now that this has not been delivered to them, it's almost pushed them over the edge. And I've never seen anything like it before, as far as like the anger. And I think what it's rooted in, and yes, I mean, there are some like QAnon in this crowd, but it's really rooted in an anti-corruption sentiment that cuts across Republicans and Democrats, all faiths, all parts of the United States, all professional backgrounds, and all ages. It's just this idea that your government should be clean of corruption. And when the president, who rode into office by saying he was going to drain the swamp and promised that he'd release, the names on this list, and accused many of his enemies of being associated with this list, buries the list beneath the earth and says, "There's nothing to see here," that's kind of fucked up. And people aren't going to go for it. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. So we have a opportunity as Democrats, if Republicans are going to keep it buried, to be the ones who get out the shovels and dig it up.
Well, I guess my question is that Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's co-conspirator, was tried, was convicted. There are thousands of pages of documents from her trial alone that have never seen the light of day. Pam Bondi and the DOJ say, you know what, there's nothing else that's going to be released. There's no quote unquote list, but we know there are files. So what can Congress, Democrats in Congress do to dig that up? Because you guys are in the minority, I'm not sure much, but would love to hear if there are any efforts.
So we can keep forcing votes for the files to be released. Now, unfortunately, Republicans, have consistently voted against that. They voted against that in the Rules Committee yesterday. They voted against it today on the House floor. But we have to use that vote against them, right? We have to show to their constituents that they had a chance to unearth these files that were promised to everybody, and they kept them buried. And then hopefully, when their constituents make decisions at the ballot box next November, they hold those that kept it buried responsible. And then we make the case in a Democratic majority that we will deliver those files through the subpoena power that we have, because you can't subpoena those files. And so in the interim, we're also not helpless. We can, have our own hearings. We can have our own efforts to seek, whistleblowers to come forward. And I'll leave it to Leader Jeffries to lay out, what that plan, can be. But he has certainly shown an interest in making sure the American people know everything that's out there.
Have you heard from, I mean, Republicans are voting no publicly, but have you heard privately from Republican colleagues to the extent that you could say that, hey, maybe you know what, I do want to get them out. I do want to see these files, but I don't want to go against our leader in the White House.
It's funny. Today, as I was walking through the halls, a Republican walked past me and just whispered, "Thank you," and gave me a fist bump.
Wow.
And so I don't know what he was thanking me for, but I've been pretty loud in the last couple days about this. I think it's the sentiment of, I can't say this as the Republican publicly, but thank you for calling us out on this. Look, I understand why Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are willing to destroy their own careers and bury this for Donald Trump. And I understand why Donald Trump doesn't want it out there. Elon Musk already told us that. But I don't understand why House Republicans, who have their own branch of government and their own subpoena power, wouldn't want this to be out there, unless they're just completely willing to go all in for Trump. And that looks like it's the case. And if we find ourselves next November and these files are still buried and inflation keeps coming up, you could see a wave unlike any wave you've seen before in a midterm election.
And I do want to talk about one other issue. You represent California. California has been a very hot topic when it comes to immigration and the ICE raid, specifically in Southern California, but really throughout the state. A lot of folks are concerned. A lot of people in my comments live in California and say they're worried about friends, families, loved ones who may be impacted by ICE raid. What's your message to them, and where do things currently stand with the raids in communities across the state?
Well, first, we have to unmask ICE. And every state that has a Democratic attorney general, or every community that has, Democratic district attorneys, can do a lot in this realm to unmask ICE, to hold them accountable. I mean, look, if they're committing assaults and batteries and kidnappings or false imprisonment, you have your own law enforcement authorities. And if the facts meet the law, you should use them. Put them on their heels rather than letting the most vulnerable in our community be on theirs, which is where we are right now. And then, as Democrats, we have to make it clear in a majority, we will do better, that we won't fund ICE raids against nonviolent individuals in our community who are working, contributing, paying taxes, which so many of them are doing. And so we have to make it clear. And then, by the way, also, and I sent this out yesterday on social media, it was Mark Cuban's idea.
Hmm.
If ICE wants to give us the top 1,000 most violent people that they want deported, great. I'd love to help you and get that information out there so that those folks are the ones removed from our communities. But that's not who they're going after. They're going into car washes, they're going into farms, they're going to Home Depot parking lots. They're taking away our friends and neighbors. And so the best thing we can do right now is stay in the courts, keep fighting in the courts, use law enforcement authorities if you have them, and then make the case as Democrats as to what a new majority would look like.
Congressman, thank you so much for
Of course,
joining
my
us today. I
pleasure.
really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Aaron.